You're listening to The Blind Chick, an Aftersight original podcast. We're telling you stories about strength, overcoming hurdles, and living experiences. We see who you really are. Blindness can be an adventure. Are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? We are. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of The Blind Chick. My name is Jonathan Price, and we're listening to part 2 with Scott Garrison, and it's been such an amazing experience having Scott with us. He was in the office a couple of weeks ago. But Scott, I want to revisit something. You said you're going to, or you got some trips coming up. I think you're going to Costa Rica next. Is that right?
Yep. Next May, I'm going to Costa Rica to set up one or two treks through Costa Rica, and one of them is going to start at the top. I think it's a volcano that I forget the name of. It's not Arenal, which is the most popular one in Costa Rica, but it's a 3-day trek, and it goes down from the top of the volcano or the mountain. And the overnights are with host families.
Nice.
So it's a very authentic experience. And it empties out onto a beach.
Oh.
So it goes through all these different microclimates and rainforests and tropical out onto the beach. So
wow.
And along the way, staying with beautiful Costa Rican families. And so that's going to happen. And then in July next year, I'm headed to Uganda and Tanzania.
Wow.
Uganda to set up trekking through the jungle to spend time with the gorillas.
Oh.
And then in Tanzania, looking at some different routes on Kilimanjaro, which I did hike in 2018, as well as setting up safaris on the Serengeti.
Wow.
So,
wow. Well, and again, I'm just super excited because Moses and I do travel a lot, but there are times where I feel like my vision loss not hinders Moses, but like takes away from your experience because I'm constantly going, what does it look like over there? Or what's that? What's that? You know, and he can't focus on his own experience. Like I have to continuously ask for visual feedback. And also, so I it's exciting that we could go do something as a couple and he can completely have his own experience and I could
very well put
have my own experience because like when we go a lot of times like when we go to a museum I literally say what's the nearest coffee house. I'll go over sit at the coffee house. Because he loves museums, he loves art galleries, right? And I'm sorry but they do nothing for me unless I can touch them. And there are a few museums that allow that, but most of them you don't. And a lot of them don't have sighted guides or audio describers at those museums. So to me, it's a waste of money and it's a waste. I'd rather go have a good cup of coffee. So.
And Alejandra also loves museums and museum stores.
Yes.
but to me, I get nothing out of a museum. And so I know exactly what you're saying about feeling like the limits of my eyesight are detracting from her from a fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
Right. And so with blind pilots, like New York City. I grew up near New York City, and there are all kinds of museums. She could go to the Guggenheim, and I'll go to a Yankees game.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And we both win. And and that's the thing. It's about independence, and I think that a really an important distinction is that the sighted guides are not there to hold our hands. They're not there to do things for us. They're there to be friends. I mean, they're that's their function is to just hang out and and tell us about things and and that's the that's the key about a professional guide is that these are people that I know I can trust.
Nice.
And for blind people, trustworthiness is number one.
Right.
You know, you
Yes.
gotta be with people that you trust.
And
Yes.
and this is going back, and yes, you would definitely want a trustworthy guide on the volcano hike. But when
Yeah.
you were describing that, you've got to describe that hike, because talk about something, whether you can see or not, it has got to be one of the most sensory hikes and overnight camping
Oh, because of
ever,
the sounds and
because of
Yeah.
the sounds. And when you're describing, well, tell what it's like to go up that volcano, because when you were describing that, I'm just sitting, I was already getting adrenaline just from the description.
Oh, there are two neighboring volcanoes. Antigua is surrounded by 3 volcanoes, and there are 2 of them that are next to each other. And one is called Acatenango, and the other one is called Fuego. And Acatenango is the one that is the one we climb, and again, microclimates, just going through so many different microclimates, and ultimately ending up at the campsite, which is about like 200 meters below the crater, and the campsite looks directly at Fuego. Yeah, Fuego is far enough away, so that's not dangerous. But it is one of the most continuously active volcanoes in the world, so it's always erupting. And so for the so just to when you're in the campsite all night long, it's erupting, and so sighted people can see it erupted. It can also sighted people can also see other volcanoes in the volcanic chain erupt at the same time.
Wow.
But for those of us that can't see the lava and the rocks shooting out of the volcano, the sound of the eruption
I
is
bet.
like having a fleet of 747 jumbo jets taking off about 10 feet overhead.
Wow.
It is just the raw power of Mother Nature.
Wow.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Plus,
And-
go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say on the flip side. So Acatenango, we in Antigua we have our sighted guides, but then you know, thinking about an experience where we didn't have that was when Alejandra and I went to Peru with 2 friends of ours, Brian to Jen, and I had told the company for months ahead of time. I said, "Look, I'm blind. Like, do you understand? Do you know what I mean?" They were like, "Oh yeah, we've
problem."
we've told the guide, and you know, and he's fine with it, and blah blah blah." And what they didn't tell us was that the Inca Trail is probably not the best for blind people, because we spent the first days on this beautiful hike through the glaciers, and you know, we had alpacas following us, and
Oh.
you know, and it was wild. But on the last, it was challenging. It was difficult because there are a lot of loose rocks on the way, and especially coming down from some of these hills, it was dangerous,
Yeah.
right? And so for not being able to see, I was out there with my hiking sticks, with my trekking poles, but still, it was dangerous. It was very very thin, and you know, and there were a lot of obstacles on the way.
Yeah.
And then ultimately we joined up with the Inca Trail on the last day, and we were just going along through the forest. You know, everything was fine, and then we didn't realize that we started going up and up and up and up until there was no more trees. But there were no more trees, right?
You're above tree line. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever been on the Inca Trail, but
No.
on one, it's not much wider than my shoulders. So it's probably 2 feet wide in places. And on one side, you've got these beautiful Andes mountains, and you can touch the side of the mountain. And on the other side, it's just a sheer cliff of probably, 700 feet straight down with rock. It's just a rock face. There's
If
nothing
you fall,
to grab onto.
you're going to the bottom.
Yeah. And, Alejandra and I have hiked a lot together, and she was having a complete nervous breakdown on the trail because she was sure that I was going over the side. Luckily, our friend Brian, who's a bit bigger than I am, was behind me the whole time, and he has an incredible center of balance. And he was behind me the whole time with his hand on my pack, just saying, step left, right, left, go left. And our guide was useless. He was just like watching me. I mean, he wasn't even saying anything. He was just watching me, and I mean, the benefit was that it took us so long to get around on the trail. There were like these 20-year-olds running past us, and I was like, can't you see that you're about to die? Right? But it took us so long to get around that by the time we got to Machu Picchu, we did make it. Then we made it to this thing called the Sun Gate, which is the historical, like, it's the opening where the royalty used to come in.
Right.
And we made it to the Sun Gate. But then, and so we all partied at the Sun Gate, right? Because we were so happy. We were like, we made it finally. And then coming down from the Sun Gate, there were these steps that didn't have any railings or anything. I mean, it was the old steps, right?
Right.
And they were huge. They were rock steps. They were enormous. And they were just, again, sheer drop of, hundreds of feet on either side. But this time we didn't have the mountain on one side. So
on
I
both
was
sides,
just like, going on my butt.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's when your butt is your best friend.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But then when we got to Machu Picchu, it was about 4:45 in the afternoon, and the whole park had cleared out because it closes at 5. And so we were taking these photos. We were the only people in the park.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. And it was funny because we got to a bluff, right? And there was it was like a little step, and there was like 5 feet down at the other side of this little bluff.
Right.
And they wanted to take a photo, and they were like, Scott, come get in the photo. I was like, no. Like I might fall over there. I don't want to fall off that bluff.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, don't you know what we just came through?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is the least of the worries. But then that night we had the most amazing dinner and pisco sours. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But not recommended. But it really cements that whole idea of having.
But if you'd had guides, right? If you'd have had guides that you trusted. Because I do know, I've had other blind and low vision friends that have done that trail. And it was treacherous and hard, but they did it with guides that knew what they were doing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, Scott, I want to ask you, is how fit do you need to be? Not your urban trips, but your more adventure trips. Like, what is your recommendation for people to kind of a goal that they need to be at by the time they go on the trip?
So I'll speak from the direct experience that I've had. I've hiked Acatenango 3 times.
Okay.
And so I know that it's possible for blind people, and I've hiked it with people in all kinds of physical shape.
Oh, okay.
Right? It has taken me about 6 hours to go up, and then as pretty much all blind people know, it's a little slower coming down.
Yes.
But it takes about 6 hours, and it's a good hike. It's I mean, there are people that have hiked it from, I think the youngest person that have hiked it was 10.
Oh, okay.
And then I know that a friend's dad hiked it, and he was 80.
Okay.
And so it just takes determination and for people who want to come to Guatemala but do not feel like they can or want to hike Octanango, there are options for 4x4s.
Oh, okay.
It involves a little extra cost, but the 4x4 will take the person direct up to this one platform, and then they get out and they scoot across to the campsite.
Nice.
Right. And so everybody's still has that experience on top of the volcano overnight.
Okay, that's awesome.
And then they can go down by the 4x4 the next day.
Oh, okay, so you've thought of everything. So I have to ask, Scott, how in the world did you ever find out about Aftersight, the audio trekker hike, the blind chick? Like, how did you?
So I just was doing a lot of research online, and it was really the only resource that I could find online about sight guiding a blind hiker.
Yeah,
was from audio checkers.
That's amazing.
And the Aftersight videos, and now I actually rewatched the video the other day, knowing the people in the video.
Yes.
Right. But the only resource I could find about sight guiding a blind hiker was from Aftersight, and so I sent a random email, and then Jonathan wrote back to me, and it was funny because we were on the phone, and he said, "Oh, it's too bad that you're not going to be here in 2 weeks to go on the audio trekkers hike." And I thought, no, I'm gonna buy a ticket. And so I bought a ticket, and 2 weeks later I arrived in Denver, and came over to the Aftersight offices and met all the wonderful staff and hung out and just talked for for as long as I could. Yeah.
So I have to ask, what did you think of the hike and have you ever hiked with that many blind and low vision people before?
Second question first.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I've never actually hiked with, like, I've never gone on a dedicated hike for blind and low vision people.
Okay.
And so that was a new experience, and it was amazing. It was a good, it was a good walk. It was a good hike. It was, it wasn't too difficult where everybody was, where anybody was really breaking down. In fact, the person that you were talking about who was 80, she was just trucking along.
Oh, I know.
She was a
leaving
trooper,
everybody in the dust.
Oh yeah, and my God and I kept changing places with her, and she was amazing. And then my guide Bill was awesome. We were just chatting the whole way, and and he was telling me about adaptive skiing, and I used to ski quite a bit, but then there came a point where I felt like I was becoming too much of a danger to everybody, including me, on the mountain, and so I stopped skiing, and now I've already sent the link to the mountain that Bill works at to Alejandro and said, "This is where we're going." And
awesome.
And just to see all the strategies that people employ, and to hear different stories from the blind hikers who everybody, literally everybody that I interacted with was so happy and in such a good mood, and now nobody was there who felt like their sight was going to be an impediment to finishing this hike.
Oh, that's good to hear.
And then the sight guides were amazing because they were just talking about all these other things that they also do on behalf of blind adventurers, and from ice climbing to kayaking and whitewater rafting, and just all these things that they help blind people to achieve.
Yes.
Right. And I think, and it was just like, whatever, like, they can't see, I don't care.
That's right.
Right. Like, we're gonna hike that glacier, and crevasses be damned, we're gonna do it. Right.
Exactly.
And we're all gonna come back.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's a very admirable a very admirable quality on behalf of all the guides.
Yeah,
That's
and
wonderful.
that's to me. This is another plug I'd like to get in, is that the safety of going with a group with experienced
Yeah.
people. And Penn and I have done both adventure stuff and taken the tours that you can get at all the different tourist towns you go to around the world. And the main difference from what you're talking about and what the tours that, like, if you go to Costa Rica, on the street corners, they've always got guys selling tours. Well,
Yeah.
to me, those things are boring as hell. And you're doing adventure that has every safety factor that you could have, because I've done adventures which when I was younger used to do myself, and I have no idea why I'm still alive from those adventures. But I was by myself, and I knew I was doing something that everybody said you have to have. Never go by yourself.
Right.
And like backcountry skiing before it became a thing.
Yeah. And Moses, so what you're saying there about trust, again, like the trustworthy piece is essential, right? Because when in 2018, a friend of mine named Mike and I hiked Kilimanjaro. It was just the two of us, and then we had a lead guide named Joshua, and I had hired my own personal guide. Then we had, I think, a team of 12, right, of porters and as an assistant guide and whatnot. And we were going along, and none of them had ever worked with a blind hiker before. And so it was a lot of learning as we were going along. I mean, Alejandra had gotten me one of the silver emergency blankets, and what we discovered was that we cut it up and tied it to the back of Haruna's legs. And so the sun would hit it, and I would just follow the silver.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
And that worked. But, one of the things that I've heard over and over again from people with all nature of disability, whether it be blind or quadriplegic or whatever, is that when we're on vacation, we don't want we don't want to have to educate.
Yeah.
Right? We spend every day of our lives educating
Yes.
people about, what it's like to be blind or
Yeah.
whatever. And we don't want to have to do that when we're on vacation.
Yeah.
And so
We need a vacation from education.
exactly, that's exactly it. But it worked really well with Kilimanjaro because I was comfortable with it, right? And we made it up, and then on the last morning we went for the summit, and we made it to the summit rim, and then I had a pulmonary edema and had to get evacuated off the mountain, which was an amazing experience where some of our team was carrying me down on their backs, and my oxygen saturation had gone very, very low, and to the point where Joshua had told me that if I didn't leave at that moment, I was going to die on the mountain. They evacuated me down by carrying me down on their backs to an all-terrain stretcher, and then they were running with me on the all-terrain stretcher, and it was very sweet. They carried my sleeping bag down, so I was inside my sleeping bag, and somebody else had my backpack on, and Penn, I think I've already told you this, but I just want to give Joshua a plug because as we were running along, there is a peak on Kilimanjaro called Mwenzi, and it's a very rocky peak, and the sun was setting behind Mwenzi. And so I was looking at that just in sort of like this daze, and this intense admiration of these guys that were saving my life.
Yeah.
Literally saving my life.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys noticed that I didn't have my hat on my head. And so he pulled his hat off of his head and he put it on me, and I was protesting. But he said, no, you came all the way from Guatemala to be with us, and you are a brother. And this is what we do for our brothers. And and the sun was setting behind that peak, and my goodness, I will never forget that.
So Scott, how do people find out more about Blind Pilots, where they can find out about the trips, even reaching out to you? Like what's the best way for them to do that?
So Blind Pilots has a website, and it's www.blindpilots.org. That's the website. People can write to me directly at Scott, SCOTT, at blindpilots.org.
And you're also on social media.
Yes, I have an awesome team working on social media. On Blind Pilot's social media. We're not there yet, because I personally do not have much to do with social media. And so I have somebody else doing it for me.
Good for you.
But soon we will be on Instagram, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, as well as some others.
Yeah.
But
you're on Facebook. I know I found
personally,
you on Facebook.
yes, I am personally on Facebook, and people are very welcome to reach out to me. My name is Scott Garrison.
Yeah.
Very welcome.
And
to
you have
reach
a
out
link
to
Blind Pilots from.
And there is a link
there,
on my Facebook page.
Yeah. So everybody out there, I recommend you. Even if you're just like, I don't know about this, please go on to blindpilots.org, because besides the amazing trips are on there, there's a lot of history on there. If you can see, there's incredible, beautiful photos and videos and stuff too. So and I want to thank you so much. It has been such a joy. I know I wasn't exaggerating at the beginning. I feel like I've found a forever friend, and I know Moses feels the same way.
No,
no.
I
can't wait.
He's gone.
I'm just a distant memory now.
Just
exactly.
a memory. Who?
But no, we both have talked pretty much nonstop about you and your lovely wife, and we can't wait to meet your little guy next
Freddie.
year. And we just know we're going to have some adventures together coming up.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did want to give a shout out to Awarewolf gear. Sedona Dave, I know you're a fan of the podcast. On Saturday, there was quite a few of us using the Urban Explorer on the hike and the all-terrain canes. If you are a hiker and you're a cane user, please check out their canes on awarewolfgear.com. They really have advanced the cane when it comes to using them on the trails out there. So coming up in November is the Blind Travel Summit in Austin, Texas, in the United States. Check it out. Just Google Blind Travel Summit. Moses and I are definitely going to be there. We're going to be doing a live interviews with some of the runners up for the Blind Travel Foundation. And it's going to be a really fun time. Some of our good friends will be there. Mike May and Gina and his lovely wife, Gina, will be there. So,
and I'll be there.
You will? Are you serious?
I'm co-presenting.
Oh my goodness.
So
that is a beautiful surprise to me.
I will be
Yay.
there in November.
Oh, awesome.
The Three Musketeers.
So you have double the reason for coming. So
So Moses, you haven't gotten rid of me yet.
No.
No, to be the Three Musketeers. One for all for one.
And thank you to Aftersight, because without them, this podcast absolutely could not be possible. You guys do all the hard work in the background, and we get to do the fun part. But thank you. Please check out Aftersight at aftersight.org. And if you have a little change in your pocket, you can definitely donate that as well. All the money goes back into the blind and low vision community to make the world a better, accessible place. And and don't forget to be kind to yourselves this week and find a way to be kind to somebody else. It's good for your soul.